Hi, so welcome to the channel. I haven't done one of these in a while. It's basically a voiceover while I program. Um, Today I did something a little bit different. Like it comes to me, or I have the belief that a lot of the time in programming should be spent actually programming, right? That's an impression, it's a perspective that we have that someone somewhere it's programming 100% of the time, 12 hours a day or whatever, and that's not like that. Even when you think about work, like if you spend like 1.5 hours just getting to work, you know, but somehow if I spend 20 minutes in the morning without programming, I immediately think to myself, oh, I messed up today. So I was doing this session. This session was a bit against that. I have been programming the last days, but I've been programming more than I normally program, and I did it not by having a super hardcore mentality, but by slowly just thinking about programming all the time, programming in between breaches whenever I feel like it. Not a very disciplined approach, but it seems to be working somewhat. I've also paid a lot of attention to myself, even if it sounds a little bit corny, but trying to develop those inner skills of understanding why something is working, why something is not. And I realized yesterday I finished a big goal. Um, I was doing input output, studying how input and output works in Java, both in serialization and files, and passing command arguments, the whole shebang. And I finished it, and suddenly it was like, oh, I was procrastinating. I procrastinated for a few hours. I was getting these strong cravings to play video games, and it's like, why? Well, because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going to come next, to study next. And a normal person, I might, as a normal person, I just want to get back to studying. I just want to increase the number of hours that I study again and just make progress. But a central theme, or a theme that I come back and back again and again to, is that everything that you do that moves you an inch closer to your goal is part of the process. It deserves its own respect. You deserve to be proud of it. And one of those things that's not very sexy but that we ignore is the setup to the study session. So for example, I decided that I was going to do a big revision, basically revive everything I know about Java, getting ready for the exam, which is within a month. It's super in the clear. As long as I keep studying, remembering, it's gonna be super easy. Like I could legit take the exam now and I'll pass. Maybe not with the best grades, but I'll pass. So I decided to myself, before I start doing exams and all this stuff, I'm just gonna do a big revision. So there's even if I find some surprises during the practice exams, I'll know where to get the answers. And so I decided that the format for the revision would be I'd open all of the slides, I would see the topics there are there, and I would write in paper because the exams are written in paper. That's one of the big difficulties, is that you kind of feel like it's very different. The writing in paper or programming in paper, you don't get the help of the IDE to remember what methods to use. You can't Google what methods to use. You don't have help remembering the imports. There's it's very different, and so I decided I was going to do writing. Okay. Um, and so the idea is I open up, I see the topics, and I write more or less simple examples of how those topics would be applied and what the main ideas there is to say about each one. So the point here is not making big resumes, but just remembering the ideas and see if I have them in my mind. Whatever stuff I have like big cracks on, I really don't remember. I can do a quick revision, and that's it. That's the point. But to do that, I just took like 25 minutes of just starting to set up the environment. Like if you look at me, I'm just going to the folders, finding out where the slides are, opening up the slides. I spent like several minutes organizing the slides, putting them in order, so I only need to page up or page down. I actually like to click it with the mouse, but I only need to press next to go to the next slide. I go and get paper to write on, setting up all the stuff. And this is legit 25 minutes, and I'm still learning, man. I'm paying attention. I listed the topics that I was going to cover so I could do check boxes. Just that, man. Just that. That's like relational thinking, understanding the topics that are involved. Immediately you're remembering, exceptions, this, and that. This is important, man. This is part of the work, and we don't think about it. I think that these sort of relaxing, slow work type of stuff is something that will help you increase the number of hours that you're thinking about that topic, making your brain like realize that this is important, and without being super intensive work, because you have a limit. I think that you have a limit on the super intensive work that you can do in a day, but you don't have a limit on the relaxing, more chill type of work that you can. And I spent so much time like on YouTube and listening to music. Like I just watched today a 25-minute John Oliver episode of was about the opioid crisis in America. It was like the third of it. I watched the three, not today, but I watched the other two previously. So if you count that, in total it was 1.5 hours that I was studying about the opioid addiction or the opioid crisis in America. It's like, how's that gonna benefit my life? Even if I want to help my country, Portugal, and be an informed citizen, how's the American situation is gonna help me when I live in Portugal and I don't understand the Portuguese situation. And I just do it because it's relaxing to learn something in a chilled manner. He's talking to you. Why not fill moments like that with programming instead? Programming related topics, it's the chill stuff. And this is the type of stuff that you can do. Just relaxing, just going. I listed the types of exercises that I could be doing. I could do exams. I could see the slides or the laboratories, only the solutions because I don't have the written things, but the solutions is good enough. You can find out which programming they're using, if they're using specific methods that I don't know, stuff like that, that could slip down the cracks. I remember the last exam that I went to, I had like 8 points something because I quit midway the exam. I quit it. I could have a positive, but I quit it. You can't have increased grades this year because of the whole pandemic thing. So if I either had a grade that I wanted or I needed to quit, and so I decided to quit. I was gonna have positive, but not what I wanted, so I quit. When you think about it, like um, there was some stuff like, for example, they wanted me to do something that I knew, but instead of using a square or a circle or whatever, they wanted me to use a checkbox, and I just didn't knew what was the method for the checkbox. There was no slides. It was probably something that the professor mentioned either on a laboratory or even just like in passing in a class, and I just didn't knew it, and it's so annoying. Like three points right there, right? It's the difference between a 12 and a 15. It's so annoying, and yeah. So this is the objective is to go through that, but the main point is that I'm not studying. You look at the screen. I'm not writing stuff down, and I'm not reading, but this is part of it. I should be proud that I did this today. How many days do I go without studying because of stuff like this? Because my skill, not in studying, but the skill to prep the study is weak, is lacking, and I feel disorganized. I feel confused, and so I don't even start to avoid those negative feelings. You know, that's something that's worth thinking about. And I think by posting this here, both forces it on me, but it shows to the world, or it shows to other people who might be interested that you know this is reality. When you watch this Cody with me, study with me videos online, you always see them typing, and you don't realize, for example, I love this guy that does Java, Java tic-tac-toe type of thing, very relaxing. But you don't realize that the thing that he's doing is very simple. A tic-tac-toe game is super simple. So you think that he's like this master programmer or whatever. Another thing that I noticed is that I did on my own videos is I sped them up at 1.5, sometimes even up to 2, just to make the typing more interesting, because there's a lot of times that I'm just looking at the screen, or that I type kind of slow. I delete the method and rewrite it or something like that, and that's visually is not interesting. So I just decided, and I'll just I speed up the video, and it's way more fun. But a lot of people out there might not realize that's how do you call it? They think that that's how it is programming, and it gives them a bad idea of what it actually is, and they might think themselves less than what they are because they are not competing with someone who's doing the same thing they are doing, but that bases it at two times speed. You know, maybe I should put a disclaimer or something when I do that, but whatever on the description or whatever. Yeah. So as you see here, I'm just organizing some stuff on, just writing some stuff, getting ready to study. This is a list, and then is essentially I'm gonna follow the topics of the list, and I can mark it checked once I've talked about that stuff. This I think it's really important to know what you're studying, not just studying the concepts individually, but how they relate to each other. It's called relational thinking. It's really important. And better go very slowly. I'm a slow typer. There it is. Yeah, so that's it. I haven't still, so I did that, and then I kind of I decided to come and do this voiceover before, so it was like half an hour to pass the files from the camera to a laptop that takes in SD cards. Then I needed to pass that to a USB pen, and then from the USB pen to my computer, to my laptop, to my desktop. So yeah, now I'm doing the voiceover. That's probably gonna be something like 20 minutes, and all in all, in total, it will be maybe 1 hour. But I don't think these types of projects that I do for YouTube and whatnot, I don't think that they're procrastinating. I think that they are a way of affirming myself while I'm doing. Um, like, if you see someone who's really good, their life is about that. When you see stuff like boxing or whatnot from the champions, and they do it all the time, like they think about it all the time, they are talking about it all the time, and so they find that really fun, really engaging. They engage with it in several ways, even when they are not doing their sport, and specifically they are doing some other type of sports. And this is kind of like that. This is a project that I do in programming. While I do it, I'm thinking about programming. Yeah, I'm having fun, engaging with the concepts in a different way. I don't think that it's a waste of time. I think that it's great practice. It's kind of like when you work out and you talk about working out. It might not be, talking doesn't make your muscles grow, but it commits you. You get focused on it because you invested now. You have projects on it. You talk with your friends about it. This is the same. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna start studying as soon as this is done. Probably with some music, because this is a revision. The concepts are chill. I'm expecting to fail most concepts. So this happens a lot when you don't study or revise something for a long time. You can't you get the feeling that you forgot it entirely. And what happens is that there's a difference between remembering and recognizing. A lot of the times, the first time you study something, you recognize it. So if you get certain cues, essentially remembering is when you have no cues, nothing, you just remember the stuff. For example, I read the Red Hood, Little Red Hood or whatever story, or the Pinocchio, and you could be in the middle of the street and you remember, Pinocchio was a wooden boy who wanted to be a real kid or something like that. And that's remembering. A cue is when you watch or see someone's nose grow, and then that was the boy who was made of wood and wanted to be a real boy. That's a cue, and that's recognizing. That's why when you if you think about sometimes about your childhood city, you can't remember everything about the city, but when you go there, you know everything. You know, you can walk around and not get lost because you recognize the streets, but you don't remember them. You can't draw them on a piece of paper. And yeah, when you I think that even if you try to just remember it, like you obviously some people when they are rereading or when they use, for example, questions, so they write questions and then they answer those questions. That's using the cue. The question is the cue, right? But even if you just so you could rely more and more on cues. So for example, if you're using the book and you see a keyword in the book and then you describe that keyword without looking at the book in your own words, you're using the keywords as a cue. So that's a heavy use of a cue. If you're doing a question and then you're answering the questions, you're using the question as a cue, but it's less, you know, it's most of the answer you're remembering. And then you're hoping that the professor will ask the same question. So he will ask you the same cue, show you the same cue, you'll remember. But I believe that even if you go in the most pure way, if you just close the book, move to another room, I think if you're still using cues, right? You're still because you just learned the thing. You're gonna remember something that you remember right now. That's and you're gonna use that to remember something else. And you know, even if you are in the same room, you're gonna look maybe at your keyboard. You're gonna look at the book, the color of the book. You're gonna try to remember. Oh, that was I talked about this topic first and the second topic, and then it was about this many pages. This was on page 4. Gonna things like that. 2 weeks after, you don't even remember how many pages the topic was spread across. You know, was it 4 pages, 5 pages, 12? You have absolutely no idea. You don't get that this was first and that was second. Like the concepts either sticked or didn't, and that's when you come and remember it. That's when you're relying on no cues. You know, you cannot use a previous topic to bounce off the second because you might have forgotten it. You know, you might have forgotten the other topic, and so you're doing a study that's way more relieved from cues. That it's more about remembering, recalling, and oh, and yeah. So I haven't studied some of these concepts like theoretically. I use them frequently in programming, but that's within the context of the IDE. Again, there's cues there. You know, the IDE even tells you the answer sometimes. Um, so yeah, no cues. It becomes a little bit more difficult, but it will be good to get that beating per se, and then be way more confident in the exam day. Like I have a month. I'm pretty sure that I know all this stuff. Relearning it or remembering it's gonna be super fast because I already know all of it. I have the resumes to teach it in the most optimal way. So all in all, I'm really happy with my progress. Here you see me just organizing it, just putting the slides in order. They're opened right now in my. So I didn't close anything, so everything is ready for me to start studying. Just pour me some Coca-Cola and get to it. Yeah. Another thing that I did is I besides the list, besides getting all the slides ready, besides just pulling the I'm gonna forget what I was going to say. But besides the list, besides getting the slides ready, I just immediately decided that I was not gonna include JavaFX on this. I think that I need to train JavaFX more, so I'm going to do then a second passage where I mine just for everything in JavaFX. I pretty much have it all written down, but I have zero practice with it. So I'm going to do all of the projects to practice, and I'm going to try to do way more. It's kind of boring to practice JavaFX, but it is what it is. I just got to get it done. Yeah. Stuff with Ash sets, stuff with Ash maps. Just thinking about it, like I know what an Ash set is, I know what an Ash map is. But for example, with the Ash map, do I remember all of the methods used to iterate? I remember the entry method, for example, get entry or whatever, get entry collection, but I don't remember what's the type they're supposed to use to on a for each loop to hold the variable. For example, that's just an example of something that I don't remember, you know. I have access to one sheet where I can put information there. Another thing that I'm not that confident on is with generics. I have done some similar, but mostly because I haven't practiced much. I haven't created generic collections on my own. It's something that I'm not very comfortable with, but yeah, it's definitely important. So yeah, the Ash sets, they're pretty simple. Array lists, same stuff. But other small stuff, like is it length or size that you use to get that methods, that the collections, and number of elements inside of it. You know, those types of things. You know, in exam they make all the difference. Also the theoric concepts. You know, on a day to day you use them, but you don't really think about them. So that's also gonna be something that's gonna be fun. Um, yeah. I am just choosing the music. This is something that I don't like that much. It's actually good to see yourself study to get understand where you are on focus. Like here I'm trying to get the windows just right or whatever. This is completely useless. Um, this is completely useless for my study session. But whatever. Okay, it's something that I do wrong. Okay, I understand that. And I can improve. Um, I think very close to here I decided to call it a day to just turn it off. And that was it. But it was good. I learned a lot from today, and it's good to be back making the videos again. So thank you for watching, and I'll shut up now. You can watch the last 2 minutes if you want. See you next time.